Jalin Conyers is Oklahoma's only commit playing in the All-America Bowl, and we got to talk about it after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I'm not on a step. No, consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. Besides college football related, sports related, we have a good time. And today, we need to talk about Oklahoma's only commit and signee playing in this year's All-America Bowl. That would be tight end Jalin Conyers, 6'4", 220 pounds, flashes on tape. Now, I understand he's playing against lower level competition in the state of Texas, but he's still the 28th best prospect in Texas and a 188th overall as a national recruit. So, I mean, this dude can play, but he's also played on both sides of the ball. He's played quarterback, wide out. I mean, to watch Jalin Conyers film is to watch my favorite guy on film because he's just a pure athlete. And at that size, with the speed he has and the hands he has, he's going to fit right in at that wide tight end position in Oklahoma's offense, where you're going to need to get some really great production out of it because you lose Lee Morris and Grant Calcaterra this season. That means that, yes, you're going to need Austin Stogner to assume the number one spot at that wide position, but we know that Riley and tight end H-backs coach Shane Beamer want to rotate players through in that position, and that it has been an outstanding position for Oklahoma going back to Mark Andrews, and even before that, in a different sort of scheme with Jermaine Gresham and Joe John Finley, and we can go on. The tight end position at Oklahoma, Keith Jackson. My goodness. Back in the day, one of my favorite notes about Barry Switzer's 80s teams was just how talented they are. They convinced Keith Jackson to come play tight end in a wishbone, which, okay, cool. King salesman Barry Switzer, but also he was getting so frustrated that they couldn't get him the ball because they don't run that kind of offense that they let him return punts. Keith Jackson returning punts. But Jalin Conyers has that kind of athleticism and that kind of size, and I'm really, really fascinated to see what he flashes in the All-America game, which is on right now on NBC, where we're going to look forward to several announcements that are going to be made official. We have some thoughts about who's doing what. One of my favorite kids in the 2020 class, Darian Green-Warren, is going to announce his commitment. Feels like Michigan is the leader there. Also get Edgerrin Cooper, where Texas A&M feels like the leader there, who was also committed to Oklahoma at one point, then reopened his recruitment. Thought LSU was going to get in there. They went another route. He might end up with Jimbo Fisher in them. Texas A&M continues to build through recruiting, and they're going to be really stout in the coming years. They got a good W against Oklahoma State in the Texas Bowl. Also looking forward to the announcement of Kelee Ringo, a guy that I have been talking to off and on for 2 years. And when people ask me what a 5-star looks like, I say, look at Kelee Ringo. That dude is 205 pounds, 6'2", and plays corner. All right, he almost looks like an outside linebacker out there. Be interested to see if he plays in the Southeastern Conference. Right, let's assume Georgia. Right, that's where the crystal balls are pointing. I mean, and if he goes to Georgia, he'd be outstanding as a safety. I think he could play the same position as J.R. Reed, who was a Paycom Jim Thorpe Award finalist at their free safety position. But Richard LeCounte, it was a monster in the Baylor game. You know what kind of defense Georgia is able to muster. I mean, they gave up just 2 rushing touchdowns all season, and none of them were to tailbacks. They know how to come down here flying. They know how to rotate players in and out. They can go 22 deep, and that looks good for a true freshman like Kelee Ringo, who would want to get onto the field. Also going to look forward to Vito Tisdale. Feels like he's going to stay in-state, play with Mark Stoops. We'll see. I really, really am excited about this class for different reasons, right? Because it's kind of all over the place outside of what Brian Breese's going to do, go to Clemson. DJ Ugalele, he's going to go to Clemson. He's an outstanding prospect. Bijan Robinson rushed for over 7,000 yards in high school. 3 2,000-yard seasons. He's going to be at Texas. But if you were looking for more Oklahoma players, in particular in this in this All-America Bowl, they were in the under All-America game. Chandler Morris, quarterback, Anton Harrison, offensive lineman, Nate Anderson, offensive lineman, Andrew Raym, offensive lineman, and of course commit Reggie Grimes, who we all expect to sign and really round out this top 10 class. Oklahoma sitting at number 9 and number 1 in the Big 12. It's a really big deal, and it's a really good look for Oklahoma in this 2020 class, rounding out into shape. It was touch and go there for a little bit. Didn't know if they were going to finish in the top 10. Now it feels like they're going to be just there. When you need a top 10 class each and every year to try to compete for a national championship, and that's what Oklahoma is trying to do. Not just win the Big 12, which they've done 5 times, or win Heisman trophies, but win a national championship. It's been almost 20 years No, it has been 20 years since Oklahoma did that. Like we're the longest stretch, 19 years. It's the longest stretch Oklahoma has gone without winning a national championship. But it ain't LSU that went 45 years between national championships, and it ain't Clemson who went like 35 without a national championship. So there's that. But Oklahoma being compared to LSU and Clemson over 150 years, not even close, right? Not even close. But this 2020 class is very exciting. I'm really looking forward to watching a lot of these kids blossom. Many of them I've known for several years. LV Bunkley Shelton is playing in this game. He's on the channel. Talk with him at length. Of course, Darian Green Warren, talk with him at length. I'm really, really fascinated to see what comes of this Clemson class, because it feels like they're just heading toward not even their final level, because if you look at the ratios of recruits that they get, they're not even like at the 60% of the blue chip ratio, which is what Bud Elliott determined you need to have in the recruiting era to just be in the conversation and win a national championship. Teams that are in there, Florida, Notre Dame, of course, Miami kind of got there at the end. It's going to be interesting to see what they look like with Rhett Lashley as their offense coordinator, see what Sonny Dykes decides to do with Southern Methodist and their scheme, to say nothing of Texas with Mike Yurcich as offensive coordinator, Chris Ash as defensive coordinator. And Oklahoma State feels like if Chuba Hubbard returns, they're going to challenge for a Big 12 championship. But it all starts with recruiting. It all starts with how you feel. Really feel good about Jalin Conyers. Really feel good about what Oklahoma might be able to do, what they might be able to muster in the coming years. Even as I will rant and rave about recruiting in-state, and the in-state kids were forming the backbone of every great national championship team, not named Clemson. But that's a different take that I'll deliver soon enough. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.